The Indus Valley Civilization is mysterious. We can't read their script, don't know their language either. But what about their religion? What were the beliefs and practices of the ancient people of the Indus Valley Civilization? Now, don't get me wrong, we don't have too much evidence as to figure out what they would have practiced. No gigantic monuments to the gods, no magnificent temples, none of that. But these people have left behind many clues that we could piece together to find out about their religious practice. So, where do we start? Let's take this Indus seal, the well known Pashupati seal. Here we can see a seated man with horns on his head, sitting on a kind of stool surrounded by countless other animals. But if you look closely to his head, you will be able to observe that he has not only one, but four heads, three of which are clearly visible in the front view. Paired with the animals around him and the horns on his head, this man can be interpreted as some kind of god. If you look at some more Indus seals, this becomes very evident. We keep finding images of gods that are in some way connected to animals and nature. Take this seal, for example. Here we can clearly see a goddess in the center, also with horns, but seems to be not in a human form, but morphed with another creature to create a kind of mythical creature. I mean, if you think about it, it does kind of resemble the centaurs of Greek mythology. This is not a lone seal either. This seal clearly depicts the same goddess. Meanwhile, in this seal, we see the same god from the Pashupati seal appear on the far right. On the left, you can see a man hunting or spearing down an animal. We don't have to leave it at that. This copper plate inscription, the longest Indus inscription, features a similar god with some kind of offering and a plant sprouting behind him. These nature and animal or hunting themes are extremely evident in Indus seals. And so the gods they worshipped must have been hunting gods, plant gods, or gods associated with certain animals or nature. The significance of animals in particular in Indus culture is very clearly seen by literally any and every Indus seal. You see below the legend an image of some kind of animal which will vary from seal to seal, and so their mythology must have been very heavily affected by the creatures that lived around them. Speaking of mythology, what was that like? What tales did they tell to their children? What tales did the priests glorify about? Again, I'm taking another seal for an example. This one clearly depicts a man fighting off two lions single-handedly. We have many such seals of the same event. Right now, you might not recognize anything special from this, but it is actually very similar to Gilgamesh in the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh fighting off two lions. Even the imagery is almost exactly the same. This could mean that both civilizations shared similar myths and tales, and a sort of cultural exchange happened. Indus mythology would have therefore heavily revolved around animals and beasts. Tales like a man killing a foul beast, taming them, or fighting them, these themes seem very common. Animals could have also played a role in the Indus mythology as gods or servants or representations of gods themselves. In this seal, for example, you can see someone worshipping an unknown goddess to the left who is standing inside a peepal tree. Below seems to be a kind of procession or parade of either worshippers or heavenly servants or gods of some sort. But next to it, you can see a strange animal, two-horned, bigger than the other people, and standing behind the worshipper. This could have been some sort of mythical creature as well, just going to show how much these peoples integrated their surroundings into mythology. And in this seal, a horned man with a tail fights a lion, again tying to the epic of Gilgamesh. Then there is also the concept of gods or mythical creatures having multiple heads or arms. This is also a very big theme of Indus seals and is attested by many of them. All this suggests that the Indus seal was not a shamanic or primitive one, but a well-constructed one with most likely their own pantheons, myths, and legends comparable to the Mesopotamian and Egyptian ones. But when it comes to mythology, you can't miss the flood myths. They are common everywhere and vary to an extent, but it would be hard to believe that the Indus people didn't have a kind of variation or sort of flood myth. I mean, they were, after all, situated on the banks of a great river that flooded. Although we have no seals depicting a flood myth for the Indus, they probably had a variation of this legend. So that's the mythology aspect of things. But there is something else that is very interesting about their gods. Take a look at the Pashupati seal once again. Look at the deity's head. Yeah, he has horns of some sort, which is very common, by the way, and what may seem to be a crown or headdress at first. But if you compare this seal to other seals of the same god and style, you will actually realize that it is a plant or tree. Scholars have associated this with the peepal tree. So, what we get is a deity sitting in a lotus meditative posture under a peepal tree. Sound familiar? Yes, this practice of meditation is so common in later Hinduism and other traditions, and the peepal tree is revered as sacred in Hinduism. It's the exact same thing here. We know the Indus people knew of the peepal tree because of their seals, so the holiness of the peepal tree, the lotus position, and this entire practice that just seems so Indian could have been borrowed from the earlier Indus faith. The peepal tree was not such an important thing in the times of the Rig Veda and is barely mentioned, while later it gains importance. That importance of the peepal tree must have come from the Indus faith that preceded it. This is not the only place where we see cultural continuity. Let's look back at the Pashupati seal. Remember the four faces of which three are in view? Take a picture of the Hindu god Brahma, or for that matter, any Hindu god with four heads, and you will see he is literally portrayed in the exact same manner. The many arms of the Hindu gods can also be attributed to the many heads, arms, and legs of Indus mythological creatures. And so, in this way, the Indus faith has exerted a massive amount of influence on Hinduism, and cultural continuity definitely existed. So that was the beliefs and religion of the Indus people. In the next video, I will be talking about the Rig Veda peoples and their lives. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you next time.